What's up, everyone? Welcome to The Plot Strikes Back. Nick here to talk about Dune Prophecy Episode 3, titled Sisterhood Above All. There will be spoilers in case you haven't watched, but in case you have, let's go ahead and dive right in. The episode starts off with a conversation between Valya and Theodosia. Valya declares that people in authority have tried to overpower her before, which sets the tone for an episode focused on resilience and control. There's a lot of flashbacks, which is a great way to show the exposition in this episode, and there might be some pacing issues, but we'll get towards that in my final thoughts at the end. In the past, we arrive at Lankiveil, the Harkonnen homeworld that they've been abolished to. It's a cold, unforgiving world where giant whales are harvested for their bones and blubber. It's a very grim setting that reflects the hardships of Valya's childhood. Valya has some interesting family dynamics, as a young Valya despises Orry Atreides, who she blames for her family's struggles. She tries to speak out for them, but her mother dismisses her as greedy and entitled. However, her older brother Griffin sees her differently, showcasing a closer sibling bond. We also see her uncle Evgeny, who is portrayed by the great Robert Baratheon from the Game of Thrones series. And there's a conversation that takes place between Valya and Griffin, referring to the ice incident, where a pivotal flashback reveals that Valya is saving Griffin's life when he falls through the ice, and it reinforces their deep connection. Unfortunately, there's a skip where we see Griffin's tragic death. Orry Atreides murders Griffin, though the act itself isn't shown on screen. Should it have been? The submission leaves room for debate about how much violence needs to be depicted to drive the story forward, though. Back in the present, we see power struggles within the Sisterhood. The Truthsayers are gathered with Valya, where Valya seeks to solidify her hold on the Carino dynasty. Meanwhile, questions arise about Desmond Hart, as one of the Truthsayers asks, was he touched by the Maker? And we can see more of Valya's political maneuvering here when she says that she will get Carino to trust her again. And among the Sisterhood politics, Sister Raquella meets with Valya once more and relays Tula's message about Sister Lila and Raquella's riddle, identifying Desmond Hart as the answer. Of course, with Mother Tula's grief, over on Wallach 9, Sister Avila consoles Mother Tula, who remains protective of the late Sister Lila, even in limbo, demonstrating the emotional toll of their losses. And we can even hear Mother Tula sniffing and just being saddened by the whole event. We move into the past with Tula and Orry Atreides on Caladan, where we can see there's a bull baiting tradition, and Tula helps baiting the bull, and it's really a metaphor for the dangers lurking within this storyline here. We can see that Tula shows practicality. When Orry's horse breaks its leg, Tula opts for an easier death, with the poison showcasing her pragmatism. As Tula gains some trust from the Atreides family, Tula and Orry's own relationship grows, and a more intimate side of Tula is revealed as she grows closer to Orry. He proposes to her, and the two consummate their relationship while his family celebrates outside, yelling, "Atreides! Atreides! Atreides!" However, the grimness of this whole family-gathered event strikes in the morning when Tula reveals her true last name. It is not Veil, it is Harkonnen. But Orry's reaction is subdued. He doesn't choose to let the years before them, with both their families and the war and the bloodshed that has happened, dismantle what they have or what they're trying to build with their own relationship. But suddenly, Tula says, "You didn't see me all along, actually, Orry." And it dawns on Orry and has a chilling realization it's too quiet outside. And as he goes outside, he sees that his entire family is slaughtered, leaving only the young boy Albert alive, as she injects the poison into Orry's neck and holds him in her arms as Albert runs over on top of the cliffside, and Tula tells him to run. Ironically, the bull that they were baiting emerges as the chaos unfolds, and I took that as a metaphor as well, as the bull came and went, much like this Atreides came and went as well. In the past, we can also see some tension between Valya and Dorotea, and it's really up to Raquella to ease this tension because of the growing rivalry between both Valya and Dorotea. Valya shows defiance while the other sisters pledge their loyalty. Valya remains outside in the pouring rain, and eventually Raquella arrives from her ship and persuades her to join, inviting her inside. But before that happens, Valya uses the voice on her, and it actually stills Raquella in the moment. But even then, Raquella is quite taken aback in a good way and is surprised to see this talent that Valya has, and sees the usage in her and sees the promise that Valya has. Valya even states to Raquella that she hasn't used the voice since the ice incident with her brother. And as the relationship between Valya and Mother Superior Raquella grows, Raquella takes Valya underground to reveal a forbidden technology, her lifelong work that she's been using, and we don't see it at the moment, but you kind of know where it's going if she mentions forbidden technology, which in some cases also complicates the relationship because of what happens next and the involvement with Dorotea. And we see more of the sisterhood dynamics as Raquella attempts to mend the rift between Valya and Dorotea, appointing them both as Reverend Mothers. However, Valya can't do it. She storms out, leaving Dorotea to endure the agony alone, and she takes it like a champ, and we know that she lives through it because that's not what kills her. And I was kind of surprised to see that Valya wasn't willing to go to that length. And sure, it makes sense that she wasn't in the right spot, maybe in mind and body, because we see her do it later when she meets with her sister Tula. And Tula seeks a fresh start with the sisterhood. She's looking for a new path, especially after she's avenged her brother's death by taking out the entire Atreides family. Valya is pleased with her sister, and this was another time where she wasn't sure if her sister was able to do what she needed to do, much like she wasn't sure if she was going to be able to do in the present day with Sister Lila and getting the information they needed from former Mother Superior Raquella while Sister Lila was in the agony. But after being called home, once Valya is back, she also has to face her family's resentment once more. And there's a dark moment inside where she nearly compels her mother with the voice to end her life with a knife, much like we saw her do later on with Dorotea. And her uncle Evgeny calls her a sorcerer, and obviously that's what makes her run out into the cold and go behind a rock and take the agony. And when she undergoes the agony with Tula at her side, this marks the turning point as they both dedicate themselves to the sisterhood, and really it's all kind of history from there. In the present, there are secrets revealed as the final act ties the past and present together. We can see the alliance between Valya and Tula as Sister Avila backs Valya and Tula, rallying the sisterhood to their cause. However, Tula's inner turmoil remains evident. Once all the sisters have left her alone, Tula has a secret experiment. It's a bit of a shocking twist that I was not expecting to see that Tula even had knowledge to, but there again, maybe she was privy of it because her older sister Valya showed her because of what Mother Superior Raquella showed Valya in the past. But we see Tula use the same lock and entrance underground, and we see that she is keeping Sister Lila alive using forbidden technology, an AI and a rule, through the thinking machine itself, along with Spice. And this really raises questions about the boundaries of the sisterhood's methods and their reliance on taboo practices. And this is something that the Sisterhood into the Bene Gesserit plan on using for as long as they possibly can. In conclusion, I would say that Episode 3 delivers a captivating blend of political intrigue, personal tragedy, and moral ambiguity. The past and the present intertwine very, very well, and it sheds light on the characters' motivations and the dark secrets shaping the Bene Gesserit's future. It's excellent work of exposition between the interweaving past and present, character development, world building, foreshadowing, and the stakes. But I would say there are a couple areas to watch out for in this episode, and it's really the balancing of showing and telling. While this episode covers a lot of ground, there are some moments that could risk feeling told rather than shown. For instance, again, Griffin's off-screen death might have had a stronger emotional impact if shown, even very briefly. There are potential pacing risks. With so much information in this episode, there's a chance of an overwhelming feeling or the potential loss of focus here. And it calls for the opportunity to break up dense exposition with more action or visual storytelling, like showing Tula's experiment more gradually, could help balance the narrative just a little bit more. But what did you all think about this episode? Should they have shown Griffin's death on screen? And how far is too far when it comes to the usage of forbidden technology? Did you thought this episode had any pacing issues? What did you think about the usage of exposition and the flashbacks going from past to present and coming to a nice little conclusion at the end in Act 3. Let me know your comments in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you next time here on The Plot Strikes Back for a continuation of Dune Prophecy. Cheers.